Can a legendary rock band not only survive, but actually thrive after losing their founding guitarist mid-tour over a plate of spaghetti? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating comeback stories in rock history, Deep Purple's Purpendicular, the album that proved these British hard rock legends could reinvent themselves when everyone thought they were finished. But before we get into the music, we need to talk about one of the messiest breakups in rock and roll. November 1993, Deep Purple is on tour, and things are falling apart. Ritchie Blackmore, the man in black himself, has had enough. But this wasn't a sudden decision. The tension had been building for years, and it all centered around one person, Ian Gillan. See, Blackmore never wanted Gillan back in the band. When Deep Purple reunited for their 25th anniversary album, The Battle Rages On, Blackmore was overruled. He wanted Jolan Turner, but the labels and the rest of the band insisted on bringing back the classic vocalist. From that moment on, Blackmore was miserable. And it showed. During the 1993 tour, fans could see it plain as day. Blackmore would stay on one side of the stage, refusing to even make eye contact with Gillan. At one show in Birmingham, he threw a cup of water at a cameraman, and many thought he was actually aiming for the singer. But here's where things get interesting, and honestly kind of ridiculous. The breaking point came down to pasta. Yes, you heard it right. During the European tour, someone ruined Blackmore's plate of spaghetti by smothering it in ketchup. Blackmore immediately assumed it was Gillan pulling a prank. Without even asking if Gillan did it, Blackmore marched up and allegedly smashed the plate of spaghetti right in Gillan's face. Gillan claims he was so stunned and filled with rage that he walked into the bathroom and cried, not from sadness, but from pure frustration. He almost quit right there, but refused to let Blackmore win. To this day, Ian Gillan maintains he had nothing to do with that ketchup incident. Whether it was a roadie, another band member, or just a kitchen mistake, we never know. But what we do know is that this so-called spaghetti incident became a symbol of the relationship that was beyond saving. A few days later, on November 17, 1993, after a show in Helsinki, Finland, Blackmore handed over his passport and walked away. He refused to finish the Japanese tour. Just like that, the man in black was gone for good. So now Deep Purple had a massive problem. They had tour dates to fulfill and no guitarist. Enter Joe Satriani, who stepped in as a temporary replacement and absolutely saved the band from legal disaster. The band loved him and even asked him to join permanently, but Satriani had his own solo contract, and he felt he was just filling in for his hero. He couldn't commit long term. Deep Purple had to make a difficult decision. They could have tried to find another Blackmore clone, but instead they made a bold choice. They decided they wanted someone completely different, someone who was a world-class virtuoso, but who also had a different personality. No more moodiness, no more drama. They wanted someone who would bring fresh energy. That's when they found Steve Morse. Morse was a guitarist. He had won Guitar Players Magazine Best Overall Guitarist Award 5 years in a row. He was from the Dixie Dregs. He was from Kansas. And he brought this American perspective to their British hard rock sound. But here's the best part. When he showed up to an audition in Florida in 1994, he didn't look like a rock star at all. He arrived in a flight suit because he was working as a commercial pilot at the time, and he carried his own gear. The band started jamming on Highway Star, and Morse didn't just play the solo, he played it with his own unique flair that respected the original while adding something completely new. The band later joked that they knew he was the guy within the first 3 minutes. And here's the crazy part. Morse was the complete opposite of Blackmore. While Blackmore was stoic on stage, Morse actually smiled. While Blackmore hated rehearsing, Morse wanted to jam for hours. While everyone thought this was just a temporary fix, Morse ended up staying in Deep Purple for 28 years, longer than Ritchie Blackmore ever did. So let's talk more about the album. Purpendicular was released on February 5th, 1996, and it's their 15th studio album, their first with Steve Morse. Right from the title, you knew something is different. Purpendicular is a play on the word perpendicular, and the band's name, Purple, you have to like see it like spelled out to know what I'm talking about. And even the cover art reflected a new, sharper direction. With Blackmore gone, the band felt liberated to experiment. Morse brought techniques that were completely new to Deep Purple, like pinch harmonics and complex clean arpeggios. The album touches on Celtic folk, blues, Tex-Mex, and even prog rock. It wasn't just the band trying to recapture past glory, it was the band rediscovering how to have fun. The album was recorded in Orlando, Florida, and despite being released during the height of grunge and Britpop, it was a massive success in Europe. It hit top 3 in Sweden and top 20 in Germany. Deep Purple had proven they weren't just a nostalgia act, they could thrive without their founding guitarist. Now, talking about the tracks, the album opens with Ba-Boom, Ted the Mechanic. Right away, you hear some pretty technical playing. It goes into this cool foot-stomping rhythm, has a very classic Deep Purple sound reminiscent of the early 70s. I love the balance between the guitar and the keyboard here. Track 2 is Loosen My Strings, which is softer and more atmospheric with clean arpeggiated chords and a prominent bass guitar. Song has both a retro and modern feel at the same time, which really captures what the album is all about. Soon Forgotten is where things get interesting. Those classic sounding keyboards combined with Morse's guitar playing give it this creepy, haunted house type of vibe. It's got both guitar solo and a keyboard solo, giving it that classic Deep Purple feel. Track number 4, Sometimes I Feel Like Screaming, brings things back down with a power ballad that picks up the pace as it progresses. It's filled with melodic leads and showcases Ian Gillan's vocals beautifully. Cascades, I'm Not Your Lover, starts with these church organs that really set the mood. At first you think it's going in one direction, but then the song takes a turn and becomes this classic Deep Purple style rocker with a very upbeat sound. That retro keyboard solo is fantastic. Now here is where the album gets adventurous. The Aviator has this folk rock, almost country sound. It's a ballad, but completely different from anything Deep Purple had done before. And you know what? It works perfectly in the context of the album because there's this heavy and light theme throughout. Rosa's Cantina opens with more church organs, but then you hear that funky bass guitar. Ian Gillan also plays harmonic on the track and there's a cool keyboard solo. It's got this Tex-Mex vibe, and that's totally unexpected. A Castle Full of Rascals is probably the most early 70s sounding song in the album. The intro builds up beautifully. There are some awesome bass and keyboard sounds with lots of atmospheric textures. A Touch Away features some pretty cool acoustic guitar work with keyboards that reminded me of prog rock bands like Yes. It's upbeat, might be the most 90s sounding track of the album, but still has those Deep Purple vibes. Hey Cisco has a cool guitar work with marching band drum beat. It's another upbeat rocker with a very retro 70s Deep Purple sound. Lots of atmospheric guitar. Somebody Stole My Guitar is a hard rocker with a classic sound, nice hooks, and a catchy chorus. The guitar solo on this one really stands out. The album closes with the Perpendicular Waltz, which features more harmonica from Ian Gillan and a foot-stomping rhythm that brings everything full circle. So here's what makes Perpendicular so special. This could have been the album where Deep Purple fell apart completely. Instead, it became the album that saved them. By embracing change instead of fighting it, by choosing happiness over drama, and by giving Steve Morse the freedom to bring his own style to the table, Deep Purple created something vital and fresh. This wasn't just about replacing Ritchie Blackmore. It was about a band choosing to evolve. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Perpendicular, make sure to check out my review of Deep Purple's Perfect Strangers, which will appear on the screen right now. And if you're new here, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Back to the opening question, can a legendary rock band survive losing their founding guitarist mid-tour over a plate of spaghetti? The answer is yes. Not only can they survive, but they come back stronger, happier, and more creative than ever before. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.